Welcome to our last lecture event at Alumni Weekend. If you played golf this morning, I hope you had a great time. It was certainly, the weather was perfect for it. I'm Stacey Owen from the school's Alumni Engagement Team, and we are thrilled to have you here to honor two business school icons, Derrick Boone and Rick Harris. Now, the beauty of this session lies in its simplicity. No test, no cold calls, and no impending assignments. Got it? Those are the rules. Or grading, exactly. Derrick and Rick will retire in June after an impressive 62 years of collective service, shaping the minds of thousands of students. Now, like many of you, I have my own favorite Derrick and Rick stories, and I know that you will reflect on your own memories as you hear from each of them. First on stage is Derrick, a retired Navy captain with 26 years of dedicated service, who holds degrees from UNC Chapel Hill and Duke University. He came to his senses, though, and joined Wake Forest in 1996, serving as a professor, academic director, and associate dean throughout his career. Please welcome Derrick Boone.
Can everybody hear me? Okay. Yeah. I apologize for my voice. After 27 years of professing, it's finally gone out. I'm actually having surgery in a few weeks. I thought about having it earlier, but since I'm on phased retirement, I had to teach last semester, and I got paid. And I figured Annette, our dean, would be mad if I went out on workers' comp after she'd already paid me. So I'll tough it out. But I want to thank everyone for coming. This is really a very, very special day for Rick and me. After me 27 and you 35 years here at Wake. And I want to thank my friend and colleague, Michelle Stewart. They had a lunch for me early today. And friends from all over the country and colleagues and former students. It was very, very beautiful. I think I got all my crying out. So please forgive me if I don't. And is De Haviland here? Yeah. You were a class of? 04. So I think she was the oldest one. Not old. I didn't say that right. How about this? One of the first students that I had the pleasure of teaching. It's funny when Stacy was talking about my circuitous route. Actually, Wake was my first choice when I graduated from college. At the time, in 1976, tuition at Wake was $2,000. Tuition at Carolina was $257. So my parents quickly made that decision for me. So what I wanted to do today is talk about, I was a quant professor, and we did lots of equations and other things. And then I got to thinking about, if this is the last time that I actually teach, is that what I want to talk about? Regression analysis and t-testing and p-values. I said, no, I don't want to talk about that. And as I was talking to my sister, who's here, and batted around some ideas and some other people, and then found out that I was going to go first, and then Rick was going to go second. And Rick said, "Well, no, you go." I said, "Okay, well, I have the whole hour." And my sister said, "No, Derrick, you don't." I said, "Yeah, but I'm used to talking for an hour and 15 minutes. He said, "That's because they're students and they're afraid to leave. These people will get up and leave." So, as the preacher man used to say, "I'm gonna hurry up and get out of your way." So I got a few things I want to tell you what I would talk about if I talked about things other than Bayes' theorem. I see somebody here. When people ask me what I do, I say, "I'm a professor." I say, "What do you teach?" And I'm hesitant to tell them. Because as soon as I say quant, they go, Ooh, I hate quant. And you. So this lecture isn't going to be about quant, which after 27 years, you start thinking about what's important in life. You can run the numbers, you can do all those things, but there are other things that are more important than what I've covered in my quant class. I want to talk to you about some of those things. So these are my 10 life lessons that I wanted to share with you. And this is the first one. That's my little sister, Robin, who's here today. Thank you, Robin, for being here. And this is us at my grandmother's house. And I wasn't the best big brother. I used to actually torture her and tease her. I remember one time I got a cup and filled it up with water in a broom handle and held it up to the ceiling. And I said, Robin, come here, hold this. And she did, but she couldn't reach it to get it down. And she still loves me after all of that. So one of my biggest supporters, I think this is so important for everyone, you need to have someone in your life who loves you unconditionally. For you to soar and be successful, that's necessary. But the thing about unconditional love, it's not a I love you as long as, or I will love you until, or I will love you more if. My sister just loves me, and I can do no wrong. Well, I can do wrong. I take that back. I can do wrong. She tells me that all the time. But you better not say I do wrong and let her hear it. So, Robin, I want to thank you for all your love and support over the years. And you've always looked out for me. Even though I was supposed to be the big brother, you were actually the big sister. And I wouldn't have been able to make it where I am today without your love and support. So thank you for that. And one of the things she always says when we would, anytime I see her and we leave, she says, make good choices. That's the last thing she says, make good choices. I don't always listen to her. I would probably be better off in life if I did listen to her. But always make good choices. So that's the first life lesson. Surround yourself with those who love you and be a loving person to those around you and make good choices. Now, why they had me have a gun back then, I was like, it was a different time. This was the 60s. Okay, let's see. Life lesson number 2. This is the back of the house that we grew up in Greensboro. And this is the living room window. And when I was a young boy, the neighbor and I were throwing a ball. And it's like this. Here's the window, and I'm here, he's there. We're throwing the ball back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And we still debate whose fault it was that the window got broke. He said it was a poor catch. I said it was a poor throw. We both got in trouble. And I remember my mother coming out, and she said, boy, you see all that land we got down there? We had 2 acres of property. You see all that land? Why didn't you go down there and throw the ball? And I'm like, man, I don't know why I couldn't figure that out. This woman is brilliant. And then she said, at the very least, turn this way. So if you miss, you won't break anything. I go, she's a genius. And then she said, son, common sense will take you a long way in life. And when I think back about that, between make good choices and common sense will take you a long way in life, I should have gotten a lot farther in life had I listened to my mother and my sister. But, making good decisions outside of running the numbers and all that, those are important things that you should be familiar to have a good life. This is 2B. Have you seen that? So my mother was ahead of her time when she said, common sense will take you a long way. You watch The Office? Okay. Great show. So many management. And everybody knows somebody in their office who's a character in the office. So in this clip, Dwight Schrute is asking Michael, what's the best piece of management advice that you could possibly give? What do I have to do to play it? Let's see.
What is the most inspiring thing I ever said to you?
Don't be an idiot. Changed my life. Whenever I'm about to do something, I think, would an idiot do that? And if they would, I do not do that thing.
Whereas the dean in faculty meetings, I always, because I'm leaving, I can say stuff and get away with it without any repercussions. But I don't want to take, so I'll say, I'm asking for a friend. So I have a friend. Would an idiot hire your fraternity brother to renovate the house and not get any references? You should not do that thing. And I have a friend who just literally like a couple of days ago, not me, my friend, was looking at something online, Walmart, Amazon, all those. It was like $75, but I found, my friend found the website, it was on like $35. So my friend says, oh, that's a good deal. And gives his credit card to this $35 website, right? That's something an idiot would do. So make good choices, use common sense, and don't be an idiot. Life lesson number 4. Now this is my father, Philip Boone, and he was an administrator, a dean at North Carolina A&T College at the time. Now, State University. Have any Aggies here?
Oh, yeah.
Aggie Prize, nationwide. And I guess I must have been, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years old. And we would drive by this swimming pool. And I would always tell my dad, I wanted to go swimming. But he would always say, it's too cold. Maybe we can go next week. I have to work today. And it wasn't until years later that I discovered that he was trying to protect me because I was black and pools were segregated and I couldn't go swimming. And he didn't want me to feel less than because of that. So what he did, because he worked at A&T, they had a pool. And he hired one of the football players to teach me how to swim. And this is an aside, the football player ended up playing for the Dallas Cowboys, and because of that, I'm still the Dallas fan. But what I learned from it, he said you got to just push through some things. Life isn't fair. Things aren't fair. You have to persevere and stick to it, and you'll be okay. And so I couldn't go swimming. I couldn't get in the pool with the little white kids until probably about 10 or 12 years later. And I loved swimming. I was a lifeguard and water safety instructor. And 10 or 12 years later, this Greensboro Park and Recs department hired me. And I got to get in the pool with the little white kids. But this time it was there as their instructor. Oh, this is my mother. I'm not going to tear up about her as much as my dad. My mother was tough. And segregated schools again. And so she was a teacher and then became a guidance counselor. All the black teachers knew each other. And she gets a call one day, I don't know, it was Miss Morrison or Miss Schaffner. But one of them ratted on me and called my mom and said, Maggie, I think Derrick has ADHD. And she said, what? He has attention hyper. She said, what? She said he couldn't sit still. He kept talking and fidgeting and wouldn't be quiet. She said, what'd you say he had? ADHD. And my mom said, he won't have it tomorrow. I went to school the next day. I was traumatized, but I no longer had ADHD. I told her she was a genius and a miracle worker. She did it both. But what I learned later was my mother grew up during the Depression in eastern North Carolina on a farm. For her to go to school, she had to pick cotton and work as a maid. And I go and I'm a cut up? No. My dad, he and his brother took turns going to school because they didn't have but one pair of shoes. And I'm going to sit there and act a fool? Oh, no. She was not going to have that. And what, I learned from that was we should value education. Always keep learning. And just because I'm leaving these academic halls doesn't mean I'm going to stop learning. Learn a new skill, take a new course, do something, always to learn more and more and more. Never stop learning. Okay, this is my career path. Now, I went to UNC undergrad. The best 4 years of my life were my sophomore year. Actually, I was a sophomore for 2 years. But I worked as a lifeguard all through high school, in college, and then I go to Carolina, I graduate, and then something happens. So I'll leave it at that, because I'm going to fill in the middle. Now, get over here. So, finished a PhD program, and now it's time to find a job. And they kicked me out because my advisor said, Derrick, you've been here too long. It's time for you to grow up and get a real. He said, you can do the same thing you do now, but you can get paid. I said, okay, that sounds pretty good. So I come to Wake, and actually, as a little background of that, one of the former professors here, Sherry Bridges, happened to be visiting at Duke my final year in grad school. And she said, well, do you want to teach at Wake? Because you can be a visitor your last year, you're completing your program, because you can teach marketing and research, which is what she was teaching. I said, sure, I'd love to do that. So I came here and started teaching. That was how I actually started at Wake, with a little hiccup. Now, I'm on the job market. I'm thinking, well, Wake is going to hire me, I think, but never heard from them. I say, this isn't good, because you come in and you do a job talk, and then they make a decision about whether they never got anything. Until at the very last minute, of course you're going to come here. Why don't you get done in class at 11:30, why don't you come do your job talk at 12? Then you can drive back to Durham. And then I'm still salty about that, because everybody else they recruited got to go out to dinner and stay at Grayling. Now, we're going out to dinner tonight. And what's inflation? About 2.5% over the last 30 years. We're going to spend up some money. And where's Michelle, my good friend, colleague Michelle? When I was at Duke, they asked, well, who are you going to work with? And I said, well, Alice Tybau, and Alice, Michelle's advisor, a big name in the field. I said, well, Alice Tybau's student's going to be there. And then my advisor said, okay, then you can go. And then they asked her the same thing. She said, one of Rick Stalin's students said, okay, you can go. So that's been, how long now?
At least 2 years.
And we became very, very fast friends, vacation together, families are very, very close. And that's one of the things I miss most about Wake is the relationships that I have with people here. Now, let me fill in the middle part. After I graduated, I worked as a lifeguard, and then I graduated. Lifeguard is the best job ever. You don't have to get up until like 11 o'clock. You're off by 6, so you can stay out and party all night. Don't have to get up. Really don't have to bathe. Because you're outside sweating. I had a ball until the pool closed. Now I'm out of a job. And Maggie Boone said, you can't stay here and not have a job. So one morning I woke up and I was looking through the newspaper, the ads in the newspaper, and it was an ad about flying for the Air Force. Now, that sounds pretty cool. So I go in, talk to the Air Force recruiter, and I said, I'm interested in the aviation programs. And the Air Force recruiter says, well, you have to have a 3.8 GPA and be an aerospace engineer and all these. I said, well, remember I took 2 years as a sophomore. That kind of knocked me out. So I was on my way back to my car, and the Navy recruiter was there. So I just stuck my head in. And the Navy recruiter said, oh, we have planes too. I thought it was Air Force pilots on ships. There actually are Navy pilots, and I didn't know that. And so I was interested in flying. He said, okay, well, we have planes. I said, but I don't qualify. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, I have a 3.8. I'm not an aerospace engineer. He asked me one question. Did you graduate? I did do that. 6 weeks later, I was in Pensacola, Florida, in aviation officer candidate school. 26 years later, I retired, and that's my son, who I commissioned him, and he retired me. Now, a lot of stories in the middle, but I want to share a couple with you. When I was on 7th Fleet staff, they were responsible for all naval activities between the west coast of the United States, Hawaii and the east coast of Africa. Huge air responsibility. And they had a really, really good chief of staff. Captain Dave Smith was his name. And I was responsible for tracking aircraft readiness. So I get reports from the squadrons, and they say, okay, we're fully mission capable, or not mission capable. So that way, in case war breaks out, you don't have any birds you can put in the air. And I gave him a report one day, and he was sitting at his desk, and I walked in. This was in the morning, and I sat it down, and he didn't look up. He just kept working. And he said, come back in a couple hours. I'll let you know what I think. So a couple of hours later, I came back, and he didn't look up. He said, is that the best you can do? And I go, well, if he said that, it's probably not. So I took it, and I worked on it some more. And he said, and I took it back to him. Come back a couple of hours. I did. Didn't look up again. Just kept writing. And then he asked me, is that the best you can do? I said, dog. So I took it. He said, just bring it back tomorrow morning. And this is like 1600. So I worked on that thing like all night long and took it back the next day and gave it to him. And he said, come back and I'll let you know what. So come back. And he says, is that the best you can do? If I say, Captain, it is the best I can do. I called all the subordinate commands. I double-checked the numbers. I talked to the master chief, and he signed off on it. And then he said, okay, now I'll read it. And he looked up and he said, don't ever give me anything that is not your best work. And that stuck with me, because you know what it takes to be successful? Just do your best work. You outwork other people, because they're not going to have that same level of effort. And you can outwork them and don't really have to be that smart. Just work hard. The other thing that I want to talk about is, we especially in business, a lot of integrity and ethics and honor. And I want to share with you an instance where I failed in that. And that's stuck with me for 45 years. we were at a port visit in Australia, and a sailor got in an minor altercation in a local bar. The police didn't even get involved. But it embarrassed the admiral. So he wanted to court-martial this sailor. And we had a policy where if it was a African-American sailor, you had to have at least one black officer on the court-martial. And I was the only black officer on the ship, so I was the one. Now, he was innocent. He hadn't done anything. And the commanding officer of the ship was smart enough to put 2 senior officers, kind of like me, at the end of their tenure. And they could vote like they were supposed to vote. And I was there, and we discussed it. We all 3 agreed that he should not, he was innocent. He didn't do anything. But they told me, Derrick, you need to vote guilty to protect your career. Because otherwise, you'll be out of the Navy. You don't do what the admiral wants you to do, that's it. And I voted guilty. Now, it was 2-1, so it really didn't matter. But it should have been 3-0. And I've regretted that to this day. Now, you fast forward, 20, 30 years, faced with the same situation, matter of integrity, and I do what I think is right. And I lost my job. But that's okay, because I don't want to have 2 of those instances stacked against me. I'd rather just go on. So always, always, always do the right thing, because you won't have a chance to make it up later. And protect your integrity. All right, this is my youngest son, Jacob, and we're frying a turkey. And when Jake was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, he was about 3 years old. And his mother, my wife at the time, was very concerned about his blood sugar. So he goes off to college, and he wouldn't check it like he's supposed to. She would always call, and he wouldn't answer his phone. So it was about 7, 8 o'clock one night. She would call him. He didn't answer. 9 o'clock, no answer. All through the night. And then like at 2 in the morning, it's, what's wrong? Something's wrong. I said, no, he just didn't answer the phone. He's sleeping, something else. And now it's about 5 in the morning. Our boy's in a coma. We need to go to UNC Asheville and rescue him. And I said, no. Let's look at Bayes' theorem. Because this is a conditional probability problem. You're focusing on the wrong condition. Not given that he's in a coma, he didn't answer. It should be given that he didn't answer, because that's what we know. So let's look at the condition where he didn't answer. Okay, he didn't hear the phone, the battery was dead, he was in the shower. Not one of those times did it say coma. So the probability of him being in a coma is 0. As I smugly put away my piece of chalk in my mental mind. Now, 20 minutes later, we're on our way to UNC Asheville. Except now I'm with an angry woman in the car. So what I learned from that is everything that can be said needs to be said. Sometimes you just need to keep your mouth shut, especially if it's not going to further your or advance your cause. Now, what I really learned from that is numbers aren't everything. You have to have a sense of compassion, heart, all those other things when you're making not only business decisions, but life decisions as well. When you can't just run the numbers and be done with it. 8B, daughters are wonderful. This is my daughter, Madeline. I put this in here. They really are wonderful. But I had her brothers in here, and if I didn't put her in here, she'd be mad. And then she won't want to take care of me when I get old. The thing about daughters I was a hero every day until she turned back. I'd come home and she'd jump in my arms and put little dolls and stuffed animals and have tea parties. Then she turned 14 and got mean as hell. Went in her room, didn't come out. But then at 21, she came out and was back to being wonderful. No, I know it's true. I know. I've lived it. I've lived it. Life lesson number 9. This is Rick and I. I think this was in Annapolis, but we both love to sail, and I guess it must have been about 10 or so years ago. I was going through a divorce, very bad place, and Rick says, I don't think he knew that at the time, but he says, I have a beach house. Why don't we go hang out for the weekend? I'm thinking, you're academic. Academics aren't fun. They're quirky and nerdy. I don't want to go anywhere with you. But I changed my mind. He said, no, we had a ball. Oh, we talked the whole way down, ate spaghetti, drank wine, stole a boat, trespassed. If you know Rick, you know that this is how Rick thinks. A neighbor across the street in another development had a boat. And Rick said, I don't think he minded us borrowing it. Let's peek in the window to see if he's home. True story, that's what we did. So we took the boat out, and then we went to Seafood Festival, ate some oysters, had a great time. And on the way back, is Nancy here?
She's not.
Okay, well, I can tell the story. Nancy is his wife. On the way back, she told Rick not to go a certain place. Then Rick wanted to go anyway. And I'm in the car with Rick, and we driving along. And I says, duck down! But she does that. I'll take that to my grave. I don't want to get you in trouble. So, go on a road trip. And I mean, go on a road trip, get to know people, connect, discover new things. And there's a very dear person I know who does that as a video series where she goes around to small towns, right in your own backyard, and finds connections for people to make. So if you have the opportunity to do that, you should. And it doesn't just have to be on a road trip. It can be just going out to dinner with someone. I remember I used to go on business trips, and I'd be eating by myself, and I'd see another person eating by themselves. I say, hey, I hate eating by myself, would you like to join? I have great conversations. So always continue to make those connections. And I put in a plug. Nice to meet you with Lisa. Subscribe to her YouTube channel. Drive up her subscribers. Make some money. And let's see. Lesson number 10. I have this in my house that I pass by every day, and it reminds me about the importance of gratitude. Now, I've been very, very, very blessed. And sometimes I have to catch myself when I get mad because the internet is out. And but, I have a warm, safe place to stay, food to eat, all of that. We need to be more grateful for whatever we have. And when you start looking at gratitude, it changes your whole perspective on things, because then you realize how blessed and fortunate you are, and the things that you don't have don't seem to be that important after all, because you have so much. So always have a spirit and appreciation for gratitude. And this is me in kindergarten, graduating kindergarten. So my last cap and gown will be this year at our hooding ceremony. But it has been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience here at Wake. I want to thank everyone for the role you played in that wonderful experience. I'm not going anywhere. I'll still be around. So thank you.